We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. October up. Yes or no? I vote up. Will they have one last fear gasp over the weekend with geopolitics? Yeah, probably. Probably. However, you can see in altcoins that they just don't care. Coinbase altcoins up 5% this morning. The port strike magically going away in an election year, right? Go back to work, guys. We'll see you in January. You can disrupt the next administration. Payroll number, of course, going to be fantastic. It was. We will talk about what all this means for crypto. Okay, so we have Brandon, Alexandra, and Kane first on the stream. Welcome. We have John, Lee, Miklo, Zepedas. Good morning. Miguel. Hi. Huber's Ranch, Nathaniel, Katya, Great Chief, Tim, what's up? SG, the original, Justin, John, JJ, and LA13 wants us to look at SUI. You know, that one dip that they had, that could have been the dip, like the dip. And if they don't hit it this weekend, they're going after all of this stuff. They're going after all of it. Okay, let's dive into news. All right, now China, right? This guy is organically pessimistic, all right? But there's a way to say it where China enters the doom loop. In other words, once you start printing, you can't stop printing, right? In other words, Beijing created this really big rally in Chinese stocks, got everybody's attention, probably improved the social mood. Mission accomplished until the equity market's going to want more sugar, right? Not to mention the fact that they have a huge amount of distressed assets over there. This guy is right. Their policies of build it and they will come didn't work out. So you cannot have 20% of the world's overall economy in a deflationary slump and have to keep interest rates where they are, no matter what the payroll number is. And we've discussed this. This makes the case for all central banks to have to keep high-powered money in the system. Because if you have a debt problem in the United States and a growth crisis in China, that is not a good recipe for humanity. So when they have to start printing, they have to keep printing. Now, I'm sure you will be shocked to know that the job statistics were fantastic right before the election, right? 254,000 jobs added. Now there's all this talk that, Powell should not have done the 50 basis point rate cut, whatever. As you can see on this graph, this blue histogram is where economists thought it was going to be. And here's where it came in. So, in other words, if you were normally a C student getting a 75, you took the test and you got a 99. Right? So Wall Street economists obviously have no idea what they're talking about. This thing blew away even the most optimistic person. All right. So whether the economy is creating jobs, whether or not people were hiring for Christmas, whether or not people anticipate a change in the administration, or this is just another cooked number, it helps stonks, which is great for crypto, right? The worst chart out there was stonks, and that chart's breaking. So, I'm just going to take this as a net positive for stocks, and then that allows crypto to at least be stable. But, as you head towards the election and as the number of things that you can't talk about on actual YouTube, I think the show becomes a little bit more important because, like the port strike that went away. Like the port strike went away. The payroll number's great. Okay. So HBO, in another distraction, will be naming somebody as Satoshi Nakamoto. You know who Satoshi Nakamoto is? You are. Right? Somebody wrote a Bitcoin white paper, but the person who puts crypto into practice is you. But I'm sure this will get lots of attention. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. What matters is, are you going to be able to get crypto before this thing takes off? And what kind of bumps and bruises are you going to have to take along the way? Now, here is a post, somebody talking about crypto versus this year, crypto this year versus last year. He must watch the show. Okay, he was just noting that, you had one final dip in October before this thing just, took off. Right? It was just up only back then on high-powered money. In this case, it could probably be one last gasp on the whole geopolitical situation. Right? In other words, they have done nothing but scare people. And if something happens over the weekend and it's a relative nothing burger, war is never a nothing burger. But if it's like they're not going to blow up the oil facilities, there's not going to be all-out war between Israel and Iran. If they scare you one last time over the weekend and that doesn't work, it's going to be up only. Because, the next slide pretty much says it all. Total U.S. debt, right? They're going on essentially a debt orgy, for lack of a better term. They're just gorging themselves. I'm sorry, that's the word. They're going nuts. Now, I don't know if this is like throwing money at the immigration problem, building houses, making sure those people get, I don't know what this is about. Or it could be the military aid. But whatever it is, they're going insane. It's like literally somebody and going out and taking, and just running up massive amounts of debt right before the end or their end or whatever, or trying to buy as many votes as they can. Based on the news reporting, it's certainly not going to people in North Carolina, as people claim that the Federal Emergency Management Agency is broke. So this goes back to this whole idea about division, which I've been discussing, right? So, FEMA, government agencies, people come here from another country and they get hooked up with housing, jobs, food, phones, the whole deal. And then something happens in a swing state to a group of people who are probably going to vote for Trump. And whoops, we ran out of money. And there's all kinds of other stories to create all kinds of outrage that distracts you and divides you and makes you upset, because they'd love nothing more than for everybody to lose their mind either now or before the election, or otherwise. Don't fall for this. You feel really bad for these the victims of the hurricane that can't get aid. But I'm completely convinced that this nonsense is not true. They're going to get them money, but of course, the flow of negativity, right? Every day, there's something new that divides us. Really, the answer to that is crypto. Crypto makes you free. This is just ridiculous. It is. And I don't know how much longer they can keep it up, to be honest with you. All right. So October mentions on social media plummet. Excellent. One last dip and go. Bitcoin gold could benefit from rising tensions and the election. Yeah. Actually, what Bitcoin and crypto could benefit from is just people realizing that, You're probably going to have a capital markets friendly administration. Even if you don't, the debt thing is out of control and it's probably going to be a huge issue regardless of who's in power. So why are we all sitting around going, oh, gee, the problems of the last 6 months are problems? They're problems for somebody else, not for Bitcoin. Buying the Bitcoin dip is a no-brainer, according to a hedge fund. He must watch the show. Now, you do have to be careful over the weekend, though. I think they're going to scare you over the weekend one last time, but this is absolutely correct. Now, more stuff that divides you, and I think this underscores, that people need to vote, right? So illegal immigration in Georgia, and these are called swing states in the United States where, these are places where Democrats and Republicans are tied. Elections in the United States, you have to win a certain number of states. In other words, the popular vote in each state matters more than the overall popular vote if you're outside the U.S. So there are all these states where things are close and have been close for years, and there's a 400%, a 200%, a 700% increase in immigration in those states. So some people say it's illegal immigration. It probably is. Doesn't follow really any rules. Bottom line is they've let a lot of people in, and they all live in what they call swing states. So this underscores two things. One, you should vote what's in your interest. Okay? I think it's pretty clear after Gensler appealing the SEC ruling, if you're a single issue crypto voter, okay, this also underscores the point that, this is where all the hurricane relief or lack of relief is. Again, is that reprehensible? Yeah. Is it designed to make you mad? Yeah. Do we care? No. Because I've always said the pushback is the green button, and every day there's a new headline that, voting auditing agencies are finding, people can vote twice. The dead are voting. You know what I'm saying? This has been true throughout the entire history of elections. It's important to vote, and it's important to understand who to vote for if you're pro-crypto, right? So, again, Elon is on this pretty hard, right? He's basically explaining to people that, if they turn the swing states into states that only vote for the party that pays them, which right now is the Democrats, that could result in a permanent change in the American political landscape. That's true. So buy crypto. Get outside the system, right? I mean, Elon is actually going to Pennsylvania because whoever wins Pennsylvania wins the election. It's the tightest state. So sometimes in the U.S., it comes down to one or two states to determine who wins the election in a tight race. Because I got news for you. If you have a driver's license, you can vote. And California is going to let anybody vote, regardless of a driver's license. All right. So Bitcoin sees gains. Coinbase premium is back. So Bitcoin trades higher on Coinbase. That's very constructive, right? Cardano guy is speaking out on the XRP case. Again, Gensler continues to act like he's going to have a job, and he's not. And a final reminder that Wells Fargo is under investigation for money laundering. And I believe it's money laundering for a left-wing political organization. Okay, on that note, there may be a huge opportunity in political meme coins. Now, you don't have to like these guys. You don't like these guys. There's all kinds of different coins. But I'm looking at this bottom, and this is the main Orange Man coin. Just as a reminder, there were people that thought this was going to 100. And when it was at 16, People thought this was going to 100. Now, I didn't think so because, Donald Trump was going to capture the demand for all things Donald Trump with watches, sneakers, t-shirts, books. I mean, they were going to sell everything they could to raise money for either his legal bills or the campaign. Okay. Now, since the sneakers, the t-shirts, the hats, they've been sold, I'm sure there's going to be one final wave if he actually does win. But this coin has done nothing. It was at they said it was going to 10 billion. The market cap is now 138 million. And there's a bunch of other coins that are like zero market cap. So, these political meme coins, everyone thought it was sell the fact. Like, I remember guys like, oh, I want to be out of my political meme coins. I want them to go to $1 billion and I want somebody to buy my bags at the top a month before the election. Okay, didn't work out that way. They topped in April. Now no one will touch them because people still think it's sell the fact. Sell the fact has not worked this year in anything. So just little piece of trivia right there. Okay, Leo is here. Welcome. Okay, let's go to PowerPoint. All right. So the dollar went up, right? People got short. There was a flood in over, oh my God, in the Middle East. Now this, payroll number that's better than expected probably dampens future rate cut expectations, although I don't think that matters because everybody's putting money into the system to make sure that the economy doesn't implode, that China doesn't implode, and that includes Trump, right? Trump's not going to shut the sugar off when he gets in office, but everyone's like, all right, they're not going to do any more rate cuts, or they're going to be fewer rate cuts than you expect, and the dollar goes up. So the dollar's up, but Bitcoin's not down. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you everybody got short the dollar, and the trade everyone really wants to do is long Bitcoin. All right, so bonds, this is long bonds. So if interest rates go down, bonds go up, and bonds are kind of breaking down, right? So, this is long-term bonds, which are less sensitive to say whatever the Fed does. The U.S. government borrowing what they're borrowing, and the fact that should change when Trump comes in office, but may not if Trump comes in office. That may not. That just may not be the case. So if the fiscal irresponsibility doesn't stop, this is going to break down. Now, for crypto people, if stocks are stable but boring and bonds are stable but boring and there's nothing exciting going on the upside, in other words, if you can't get upside in bonds, if you can't get upside in stocks, where's the upside? Right? And, fiscal irresponsibility is insanely bullish crypto. So unless this falls out of bed because interest rates start increasing, which again, not happening, where does the money go? Where's the investing returns for 2025? Okay, so this was the most bearish chart out there in NASDAQ. Thank God they unwound it. This is actually one of the most famous formations in stocks. I had a boss who made a living with just this. He would wait for these bearish patterns to form, and he would buy when they broke. And that's true. If you have a bearish pattern, if the market's supposed to go down and it doesn't, it goes up. So how nice. We don't have to worry about this anymore. Now, if there is a risk, and I don't even know if I want to call it a risk, I kind of want to call it an opportunity, is I've got this historical data system, and it helps match patterns, right? So the blue line is, some history in Bitcoin from back in August. And the red line is, the red bars is what's happening now. So the absolute worst case scenario, this has an 84% match, which is actually low, but you could have a wick down over the weekend. In other words, this is showing that what's happening in Bitcoin now is similar to what you had when you had this 2-day wick down and then it came back. You can have one final scare because of the geopolitical situation. And if you did, that would be like possibly the final dip. Possibly, right? Because it's only got upside from here, in my opinion. All right. That's the market update. Now let's get over here. Okay, so am I saying that this weekend could be the last time to buy a massive dip? Yeah, man. I'm telling you that, this thing that they've been doing, scaring everybody, they've been scaring everybody for 6 months, concluding with this whole issue about, the Middle East. Like, let's make everybody upset. It's not working. And I think everything over there is a draw. So if there's something on television where, one side blows up something and then the other side sends missiles back, or one guy doesn't respond, I mean, I think the administration is made all the noise that they want to make. So there could be one last scare, everybody gets upset, and then that's the end. That's the end. Because, I mean, why would they want the world to burn a month before an election? They don't. They just don't. And even if they did, I still think that's bullish. I think it's bullish. You got to get outside the system. These people don't have your interest at heart. So unless an oil facility blows up, which again, I doubt, whatever they scare you with this weekend is it, man. That's it. It'll happen. Equities will close at 4:00 and then they'll go scare everybody again. All right. So somebody was asking for TA on SUI. It's kind of maybe this like upward sloping cone. This is called an accumulation cone. Normally these things are pretty bullish. I know everyone's pretty pumped up on SUI. I think the larger point is that this looks like Solana last year. In other words, it went up. They tried to hit it. It didn't work. And then it just goes straight up. These altcoins on Coinbase, I mean, I don't know that you need technical analysis. Aave up 3%. Arrow up 9%. And Arrow was up yesterday. I mean, look at this, right? It's a textbook double bottom. Textbook. Up, back, up. Maybe these old highs have resistance. So maybe you got to wait a couple days, but head and shoulders bottom possibly forming in render. Right? I'm not going to get negative on all this stuff. I'm just not. Like the graph could come back. Does anybody remember this? DGen is not backing off. I mean, this is a little toppy on a daily chart, but it's like equilibrium in DGen from LuxAlgo is like 100% away. So DGen could 1x just to get back to equilibrium. They list this on Coinbase. There is a case for SocialFi. Solana sitting at equilibrium, right? Like, what is bearish about this? Nothing. I'm getting a lot more interested, even though it's up. It could be up more. This coin Tau, I keep reading about how powerful this thing could be. Again, like SUI, never backed off. Never backed off. This looks like one big, giant, rounding bottom, right? Just kind of the bigger the base, the higher in the space. Comes up, comes back down. In other words, if you look at the market from a bottom-up point of view, meaning you look at all coins, right? If you look at Bitcoin, you're like, nothing's happening. Right? If you start looking at all coins underneath, some of them were breaking out yesterday. Some of them were breaking out yesterday. So the constant flow of negative news flow and division will run its course. I'm sure, they will try everything they can to keep all the negative news going. And you know what? I don't think the crypto market's buying it. I just don't. Now, can they scare you over the weekend? Yeah. But all coins are telling you that it's time to shop. And even if you have down trades on this geopolitical situation, I think they might last 3 days, maybe. And they may only impact the bigger coins. The little coins may just be like, you know what? Barring something catastrophic, LFG, right? I mean, this is it. So if you got one last dip, or you've been thinking about buying crypto, if it goes down, you should think harder. You should think harder. Okay, people, short and sweet today. That's it. I will see you on Monday.